One of the first things that I like to do on any new daily driver that I get is to install a radar detector and a dash camera. These days I'm kind of more into the bell scored stuff. For my dash cam I like to use the Street Guardian series, but what's most important to me is a clean integration. I really don't like to run cables into the cigarette outlet and all that kind of stuff. So I looked around on the internet and I really couldn't find anybody doing it on these new body trucks yet. In fact, all of my Googling and forum searches yielded pretty much nothing. So what I'm going to do is show you how to figure out how to get switched power and a ground from the mirror of any modern vehicle that has a powered mirror. If it has 12-volt power in there and if it has a ground in there, you will be able to find it using my method. So let's get started. It's going to be really easy. You only need a few tools, and it's a pretty short video. All right, so I'm inside the truck, and the first thing that I have to do is to get this paneling off. All the important wiring is right there behind that cover. I'm going to try to do this with one hand to give you a better look. As you can see, these kind of poke in, and then these little clips hold, so when you push, it just comes right out. Now, the next step when you're up here, you want to kind of start to pry around. Just be careful, don't be too rough. And this just comes right out. All right, shove the mirror way out of the way. And let's take a look at the goodies in here. We can see that there is a connector here, but this is actually a camera. Now, this harness here seems to just be the mirror harness. So I tried to search that QR code and that number there, and there's nothing on the internet about it. But what's cool is that that little piece right back here, it looks exactly like the piece on the older truck, and that piece was the actual power and everything that you needed. So I'm sure it's probably the same. So as far as I could tell, the few people that have had their Sierra Denali done with this camera package have paid somebody to do this. Why don't we give it a shot and do it ourselves? So the only tool you need beyond a refreshing beer is actually a multimeter. So this sucker will really make things easy for you. You should have one if you work on cars. Now, because we're going to be working with some very small pinouts, I recommend having a little pick that has alligator clips. So here's what I do in my case. I've got it connected. There's one really neat hack that I recommend everyone try when they're troubleshooting electrical in their car. I love doing this. Take a ground with you where you go. Simply get a long 16-gauge cable like this, cut one end of it and strip it so that it's like this long, go wrap it around the negative battery terminal, and then it's a long wire. You just walk with it wherever you need to test. When you're up here somewhere and you're poking around with your multimeter, the last thing you want to do is try to figure out which one of these things works as a ground. Does that bolt work as a ground? Is one of these black wires a ground? You know, you don't know what a ground is. And in here, it doesn't look like there even is a chassis ground anywhere in here. They're probably all cable grounds that go over there. And all of this looks connected to plastic. Like maybe this box, like this heatsink from the look of it on the camera, like it might be grounded. But why waste your time figuring that out? Just take the ground with you and you know you've got a good ground. And it'll let you find a good ground when you do need a ground. I'm about to show you the simplest ways to find a switch 12-volt and to find a good ground. And that's what's so cool about this hack and having a multimeter. So the first thing we need to do is to take our ground and just kind of wrap it around. So great, we've got a ground now. We're going to take our multimeter and set it on DC voltage. So we're going to turn the ignition on. And now we're going to use this little poker to test some of these things right here. Nope, not getting much voltage there. A little bit of voltage, like 50 millivolts. So what's interesting is this car may be actually kind of really smart. It might not be just flipping relays and things like that. It might actually be kind of sending a digital signal or something like that. So I wonder if starting the engine is the solution. Let's open the garage, start the engine. I'm actually going to make this a little easier on myself and disconnect things. I'm going to pull up, see that turned the mirror off. I'm going to pull down here and I'm going to get a really good view. Okay, we've got this green with a white stripe. What does that give us? That gives us a whole fat nothing. We've got this purple with a white stripe. Oh, 14 volts right there. Let's stop the engine. Boom, 0.4 volts. We just found our switched power. Purple with a white wire. It's, if we count from the top with the release clip as the bottom. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the 9th pin. We figured out how to get the switch power, but we're still using this thing right here. Surely that's not going to be our permanent ground. And you're right. What we're going to do now is set this device into ohms, and we're going to try to detect the resistance of a good ground that we can use. All right, so what this right here means is that we have an open circuit. So if we touch the red and the black ground, we have absolutely no resistance. We know we have a perfect circuit. So let's say what we do is we touch that hot plug again. So look, there we go. We have 23 kilo ohms. We know that there's a bunch of resistance on it, so that's some kind of a circuit. That's not a ground. Let's say we just set our range to ohms. We actually want to see less than 5 ohms of resistance. Let's try, a very common ground is going to be like a black wire. There's a black with a white stripe right here. It's in the 1, 2, 3, it's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 position. So let's try that black with a white stripe. We can see it's 4.6 ohms. So it's right at the threshold of a good ground. And, you know, maybe that's just if I touch it again, maybe I didn't make the best contact with it. There we go. I just fixed the connection up a little better, and you can see that that is without a doubt our ground. We're at about 2 ohm. So you've now learned how to figure out a ground and how to figure out switch 12-volt power. So I've actually created my own harness for my dash cam and for my radar detector. And it has these little pins here, a orange one that I'm using as hot and a black one that I'm using as ground. We're gonna pop those right into this harness. Now there's a million things you could do. You could pull the shielding back and you could snip the wire and you could splice in. You could use one of those splice taps. So the ground's gonna go into the black with the white stripe, and our hot is gonna go into the purple with the white stripe. So we're gonna get them nice and tight in here. The other thing that I just did is I threw a zip tie right here to kind of keep pressure on these to stay in. So I think we're going to do pretty well with this setup. All right, that's plugged in there. All right, let's give this thing a crank. There we go. It's working. What I'm going to do now is patch all this together, put the cover back on, it just snaps right on. I'm gonna actually install a blend mount kit under here and mount my dash cam. And with a little movie magic, in a second, you're gonna see a perfectly working installation. So guys, here's what the entire setup ended up looking like. Here is the blend mount with my nice radar detector all ready to go. The setup came out really, really nice. Everything's... Oh, there's a police officer somewhere in the neighborhood, I guess. Overall, I love integrating with a mirror. I think it makes for just an absolutely clean install. You don't have a bunch of random cables running up and to your radar detector. Plus, not having to use stupid suction mounts. Here's kind of the driver's view. So if you're sitting like I'm sitting, you just kind of see the radar detector. You don't really see the dash camera, and I like that. I like the dash cam to just be kind of hidden over there, not obstructing my view. And I just get a nice view of my radar detector when I'm glancing at my mirror. No suction cups, no crazy wires. It's so much better. You will be so much happier. I absolutely guarantee it. Just give it a shot. As usual, I'm going to post some links for Amazon in the video description. Please feel free to click those. They will link you to products that I think are relevant to this content. Clicking my link still gives me commission on anything you buy, even if it's not the item in the link. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out to keep running the channel. For now, guys, I'm going to let you go. I've got a few more things coming up in the hopper. We're going to be doing more testing regarding waxes, and you will see that content coming up really soon.